Hello travelers! Welcome to our How to Play mini-series that will go over the basics of the Fabula Ultima TTJRPG. Let's start with, what is Fabula Ultima? At its core, it's a tabletop role-playing game that focuses on the concepts of growing heroes and powerful villains. Its setting takes place in fantastic worlds that are brimming with wondrous locations and bizarre, unique monsters. To play, you'll need a D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. If you like video games, such as Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, or Shining Force, then you'll likely fall in love with this title like we did. It was written by Emanuele Galetto and published by Need Games. All images and properties belong to the author and publisher. You can also find the link to the game in the description below. Now, when we talk about world building, it can seem like a very daunting task to design a whole dang world to play in. Thankfully, there are 8 design pillars to help you and your players figure out what your world can look like. These are ancient ruins and harsh lands, which means that the world is a dangerous place. The cities and villages of the world should be separated by dangerous places like scorching deserts, frozen peaks. Scattered among the dangers should be the remnants of the past. These can be ruined castles, relics of forgotten deities, etc. A world in peril. This means that most of your world will be very dangerous. Roaming bandits and hordes of monsters claim everything outside the protected cities and castles. This is where your villains will shine, and where your heroes must travel to face them. Clashing communities. This means that our communities, even in a world full of evil, can still find themselves at odds with each other. This could be old feuds, tensions of war, religious disputes, or even conflicts between magic and science. Whatever it is, your heroes will find that uniting these communities will be the key to helping to dissolve a greater evil. Everything has a soul. This means that spiritual energy lives in everything. Whether it's the creatures around us, the stars above us, the earth beneath our feet, the flow of spiritual energy is ever-flowing and vast. Keep in mind that its origin, nature, and function may differ depending on your setting. Magic and technology. This means that the essence of reality in Fabula Ultima is reflected into 2 ideals. One concerns itself with the tangible nature of matter, and the other with the souls that dwell within. The extent and scope of science and magic might vary for your world, but both are usually equally important. Heroes of many shapes and sizes. This means that your protagonists are meant to be heroes of fate. They can come from any background, any heritage of people, kingdom, or belief. The only thing that matters is that they have the spirit to rise as a hero. It's all about the heroes. This means that the events of your world, either directly or indirectly, should be tied to your heroes in some way. They are the only hope your world has to rid itself of a vast evil that plagues it. Mystery, discovery, and growth. This will be your 3 main concepts when going into sessions. What mystery are we uncovering? What are we discovering? How has our journey changed us? And how will it change us in the future? With all that in mind, how do our heroes interact with the world? Every hero has attributes, which we'll cover in a later video, that we will use to make things called checks. These are dexterity, your ability to act with precision and finesse, insight, your powers of observation and reasoning, might, your measure of strength and fortitude, and willpower, your determination and discipline. Every check involves 2 attributes, which means that there will be 2 dice rolled. The size of the die associated with each attribute is determined at character creation. When you create your hero, you will choose from one of 3 profiles. Jack of all trades, which gives you a D8 to each of your 4 attributes. Average, which gives you a D10, D8, D8, and D6 to assign to your attributes. Or specialized, which gives you a d10, a d10, a d6, and a d6 to assign to your attributes. The result of your roll, including any bonus or penalty you might have to the roll, is compared to the difficulty level set by the GM. The difficulty of the action can be compared to the following chart. DL7. This is an easy task that most trained or naturally talented folks could accomplish with ease. DL10. This would likely require a very talented or competent individual to accomplish. DL13. This is a more difficult action that an expert or prodigy would be expected to accomplish. DL16. This action would take someone who's the best in this area, the highest difficulty challenge. If there are ever any questions about what the DL should be, the GM is unsure, it's usually safe to set the DL at 10. In situations where there's an extreme advantage or disadvantage applied to an action, the GM may add or subtract 2 to the check. There's one special case to talk about when making a check. If you roll the same number on both die, and that number is a 1, then it's a fumble. If that number is a 6 or higher, then it's a critical success. In the case of a fumble, the check is automatically a failure, regardless of the total number rolled. This isn't always due to characters' incompetence, but could be due to outside influences outside of their control. When you roll a fumble, whoever is opposing the character in this scene gains an opportunity, and the character gains a Fabula point. On a critical success, the opposite is true. The check has automatically succeeded, regardless of the total number rolled, and the player gains an opportunity. In either case, the opportunity becomes an unexpected twist to the story. It can either be a good twist or a bad twist. On page 41, there's a list of possible opportunities, but it's also encouraged to work with your GM to see if you can come up with one of your own that fits the scene. Once the roll has been made, there are a few ways to alter the result. The first is to invoke a character trait in order to re-roll your check, either your identity, origin, or theme. After you've rolled, you may spend a Fabula point and invoke said trait to immediately pick up both dice and roll them again. Your old result is discarded. The player may spend multiple Fabula points to continue to re-roll as part of the same invocation. Note that a fumbled roll cannot be re-rolled. The second means to alter a roll is to invoke a bond. Bonds are connections your character has towards another character. You can read about these bonds on page 56. When invoking your bond, you may spend 1 Fabula point and add the strength of that bond to your roll. You may also only invoke 1 bond per check, and it should make narrative sense to do so. That's the basics on how to make checks in Fabula Ultima. The final topic we want to cover is the different kinds of checks that you might make as you play. These are opposed checks, open checks, and group checks. Opposed checks are a special type of attribute check to determine the winner between 2 competing characters in an event such as a race or a debate. Both characters roll the same dice and compare their results. Fumbles are the lowest possible result, and critical successes are the highest possible result. If there's a tie, both will re-roll until there's a winner. Open checks have no difficulty level. They are meant to judge how well an action is performed rather than if it's successful or not. It follows the same guidelines as setting a difficulty level, 7, 10, 13, and 16, but the action cannot fail. Group checks are a cooperative effort by the party to increase the odds of success when performing an action. One character is nominated as the leader, and the rest will then act as supporting characters. All supporting characters will roll the same attribute that the leader rolled for the check, but with a difficulty level of 10. Every supporting character that succeeds on their roll adds +1 to the leader's roll. If the leader has a bond strength with any of the allies that succeeded on their roll, they may add that strength to their total roll. And that's it. That's the basics of how to get started in Fabula Ultima. Check out our other videos to learn about character creation, how to run combat, and a general GM guide. You can also watch our actual play every other Saturday at the Lost Caravan RPG Twitch channel. We'll see you then.